I was 24 when I realised that I needed to make this kind of change, right? But like a 24-year-old who doesn't go out drinking, as far as I was concerned, what life was on the other side for me, there was absolutely no point at all. I didn't see anyone model a healthy lifestyle that I wanted. I wasn't in church. I didn't know anything about this stuff. In fact, actually, I did once. I was about 19 at the time. I was drinking heavily and I was living with my boyfriend and I was smoking and all the stuff that your good youth leader would tell you not to do. And I wouldn't have walked into a church, so I would have been like, oh, what's set on fire? You know, I was one of those, I'd make those jokes. But I did walk into a Christian bookshop. I walked into a Christian bookshop and I was like, can you help me? I'd love to get a book on sin. Because I just thought maybe there'll be something there, like I know that technically this is all sin, this is what God says sin, but maybe something will blow my mind and I'll be like really encouraged and maybe there'll be an answer there. And she was like, oh, you look a bit young for a book on sin. Well, 19, she don't know the half of it, love, you know. So she got me a book called Who is Jesus? Picture on one side, bit of big writing on the other that explained who Jesus is. Fine, from the kids section. I bought it because I'm British and polite, but I did also buy a book on sin. And as I turned to walk out, she said, oh, you know Christians don't dress like that. And I just thought, this is why. This is why I hate you all, because I'm not good enough, because I reach out, I turn up, I go like, oh, clearly I was doing something wrong. I asked for a book on sin, like, but all she told me was that if I want to be part of whatever she's a part of, which didn't look that good anyway, I needed to change. And I was like, okay, I'm out. I didn't read that book on sin. I've actually still got it. It might be good. Who knows? She ruined it for me, right? So that was it. And things just continued to spiral. So I continued in that way until I called my sister. And in the prodigal scenario, she's the one who stayed. She got no credit. I'm the one who left, triumphantly returned, got a lot of credit, which I still appreciate from my parents. I don't know how much she loves. That's all part of the Bible story. No, I told her what I was doing, and it was the first time I said out loud to a member of my family that I was taking drugs, and she was amazing. She moved me out of my flat. It was a Friday that I told her. Saturday, she got her then boyfriend, now husband, down, moved all of my stuff out of my flat and moved me in with her. On the Sunday she took me to a church. She was like, just listen and just tell me what you think. And then on Monday she sent me into my job, because it was quite a party, boozy, druggy lifestyle job in hospitality. She sent me in with a pre-typed, pre-printed resignation letter and told me sign that and hand it into your boss on Monday morning. And I did all of those things. I didn't get the church thing. I thought they were nice. They were talking about some homeless ministry they did. It was nicer than what I remembered of church, but it wasn't, I didn't hit me in my heart, you know. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. They seem like nice people. And then she sort of gave me a bit of space to think through what I wanted and how I wanted my life to be. And I distanced myself from drugs. I still took drugs every now and again in that time, but I drank very heavily, because it's harder to persuade someone that drinking's bad when it's legal and lots of people drink too much and things like that. Eventually, after a couple of big sort of cocaine binges, by this time I was living with friends rather than with my sister, so about a year later, these friends sat me down and said, look, we love you, we can see that you're trying to make a change, and you quit your job and you moved out, and you know you're trying to set up a different lifestyle for yourself, but we need you to do more, because this isn't working and we can't. No one wants to go for a glass of wine with you because you're a nightmare, And actually, we can't sit up with you, hearing you cry about how you don't want your life to be this way, and then watching you go and do the same thing night after night after night. We love you, but we're not going to be here much longer unless you do something about this. So will you go to a support group meeting? And I was like, how dare they? I was fuming. Like, how dare they tell me what to do? But I went because I had to buy myself some time, right? So I was like, fine, I'll go to this recovery group meeting. And I got to the door and I could hear them all talking behind the door, and I thought, this is really stupid, I'm just going to leave. Definitely don't need to be here. They'll think I'm a fake. They'll think I'm like, I'll tell them what I've been doing, and they'll be like, you're not an addict, get out, you don't belong here. So I turned around to leave, and here, I say here's where God kicked in. God's been there the whole time, right? Obviously, we all know that. Here's where, from what I could see, God kicked in. So I turned to leave, and a woman came through, and she was like, are you here for the meeting? I was like, I don't think so. And she just linked my arm, and she goes, you can sit next to me. And she walked me in, and usually when you go to an addiction meeting for drugs, it's usually often more men than women, and often men who are sort of around the 50 mark. So it can be hard for a younger woman in her 20s to like find her tribe in that kind of environment. And I didn't know that at the time because I'd never been to any of these things before. And it was 5 or 6 women in their 20s, all 3 months sober, sitting there. And I assumed that I would find it really interesting, maybe even a little bit like, quite a funny story to tell at the pub, like, oh, those meetings that you see in the American movies, like, hi, I'm Laura and I'm an addict. Like, I went to one, let me tell you what happens at them. But actually, when I got there, I just cried from start to finish, because I heard people say things that I thought only I'd experienced, and I never said them out loud. And people express experiences that to me felt like my deepest, darkest secrets, but they knew because they'd been there. And not only had they been there, but they were just out of it. They could just see the wood from the trees. They were just a bit sober. They were just a bit ahead of me. And I wanted it. I really wanted it. And they took me for lunch afterwards, which is really kind of them. They completely went above and beyond. And I said, like, do you think I can do this? Can I stop taking cocaine and still drink? And they were like, no. We really don't think you can. We think that what is a good life for you is no mind-altering substances at all. And we really want to encourage you to try that. So I called my sister, and I didn't think they were going to say that. And I remember walking to the place for lunch after this meeting and thinking, I hope someone gets wine. I could really do with wine, but they didn't. And I called my sister and I said, look, they say I should stop drinking, and she did not skip a beat. She said, do it. I think this could be the proudest thing you've ever done in your life. And that was on the 22nd of April 2014, and I haven't drunk or taken drugs since that day. So that's actually come up to 10 years in just shy of a month, which I'm really excited about. Double digits. But it's been a long journey, and actually there are a few things I think it's really important to know when it comes to making positive changes in your life. And the first thing is that it doesn't feel good. I think we think that, like, if there's something that's been on our minds that we need to change, we procrastinate too much. We binge eat a little bit. We don't go to bed early enough. We just keep scrolling on our phone for like 3-4 hours. And then you think to yourself, like, 3-4 hours is a bit extreme, hopefully not, but hour or two. And you think to yourself, like, the moment I stop doing that, I'm just going to feel fresh as a daisy, I'm going to feel great. It hurts to change a routine that you've relied on. It doesn't feel good. And it didn't feel good for a while when I stopped drinking and taking drugs, because the short term, I felt so much better falling into my normal pattern, just as we do when we reach for our phone, when we, reach for something to eat, when we just scroll through Netflix and pick something, even though we've said, oh no, we're going to be a reader from now on. Like whatever that thing is that gets you every now and again, that thing that you keep thinking, oh, I could do that better. It's easier to just fall into that pattern, and it doesn't feel good when you first make the choice to do something different, but it's important, and it takes time, and in time it feels so good. But it's that choice to do something today that we will be grateful for in the future, and it's that choice to make that small choice every day that will build up to that routine and habit that will grow us in our faith, in our health, our mental health, our physical health. And if you're a person who has struggled with addictions, in your recovery. So I put my recovery first, in so far as I knew I would spend hours a day drinking and taking drugs, and someone said to me, well, if you've got the time to drink and take drugs, you've got that time to invest in your recovery. And very quickly, it was the third day, someone said to me something about my higher power, and they were like, we're not going to tell you what that is. That could be the wind or nature or a sort of set religion.